Moira, Moira, this is your brother. You're a psychopath. The topic of this video is larceny of a motor vehicle. I am the owner of a 1975 Triumph Spitfire 1500. Pardon me if I've gotten the year wrong. I haven't looked at the title in a while. But I am the owner of a Triumph Spitfire 1500 automobile, red in color, beige interior. I was allowed by my parents to store said vehicle at the family's secondary residence at 30 Michon Point Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Since my father died, and I have been left essentially destitute with only about $16,000 to my name and 2007 Camry, I need to sell that automobile for money. It's worth about $10,000 to $13,000. I have repeatedly contacted you and Mom regarding getting that automobile back from you and Mom, and you and Mom have either given me non-committal answers or since April of 2025, since late April of 2025, you have essentially cut off all effective communication. There's been some minimal communication by text message. That's it. I cannot retrieve said motor vehicle because the last time I was at the family's secondary residence at 30 Michon Point Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, you and Mom refused to answer the door, hid in the bedroom on the first floor, and called the Dartmouth police on me. And it appeared from the arrival time that the Dartmouth police had been called before I arrived. How on earth you pulled that off, I don't know. The only way I can think you pulled that off is you've hacked into my cell phone and you had the GPS on my cell phone, so you knew where I was. How that works and what apps are involved with doing that, I don't know. Although it's definitely possible. Again, you and Mom changed the locks on 30 Michon Point Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts without telling me. You refused in the summer of 2024. You knew I didn't have enough money for food. You and Mom did. And you knew I'd be coming looking for the money for food, because you and Mom had left me destitute as a result of a decade-long infinity fraud where Mom promised to pay me lots of money to take care of her and Dad. And then Dad died, and that turned out not to be true. It's called fraud. Mom and Dad obtained over 10 years of labor in return for a promised payment, and then they didn't pay me. That's called fraud. Anyways, the reason it's larceny of a motor vehicle, what you and Mom are doing with the Triumph, is I can't, as a law-abiding citizen, go back to the secondary residence of my family at 30 Michon Point Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, because you and Mom, you changed the locks without telling me. And you called the police on me the last time I was there while I was knocking on the door before I started knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, Mom, you in there?" You and Mom called the police on me instead of answering the door, and instead of telling me about Dad's changed will, which you know all about. Which is that, by the way, that behavior is indicative of a lot of other things, like A, the fact that you're a psychopath, and B, that you and Mom have committed certain crimes with respect to Dad's will. But we can talk about that at another time. The point is this: I can't go back to 30 Michon Point Road, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, without being treated like a trespasser by the people who live there. Because the last time I was there, you and Mom wrongfully called the Dartmouth police on me. But I still can't go back because the Dartmouth police might be calling me again wrongfully, and You and Mom have never said I can't go to Dartmouth, Massachusetts, but the house in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. But I don't feel safe going back there because I was wrongfully confronted with 4 Dartmouth police officers the last time I was there. So I can't go down there to get the car back myself. I don't have the keys to the residence, so it wouldn't matter even if I could go down to the house in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Anyways, and you and Mom would probably call the police on me again, and based on lies again. So I can't get the car back, and you and Mom won't give the car back, and you won't communicate effectively about surrendering the car to me. Now, you and Mom, because you commit all your crimes in most of your crimes in a passive aggressive way by refusing to act. Basically, the way you and Mom commit most of your crimes is this: you make promises and you behave in ways that are consistent with the normal social agreements of families and close relationships. And then suddenly and abruptly, you change your behaviors in passive aggressive ways without saying anything directly to your victim. This is the pattern by which you and Mom have stolen my car. It does not fit the classic definition or the normal idea of how people think of auto theft in their heads. In the normal perception of auto theft in people's heads, people think of a thief who walks up to and breaks into a car, or a thief who obtains the key to the car and starts the car and drives away. That is the standard conception of auto theft or larceny of a motor vehicle in people's heads. But this is why people like me go to law school. The reason people like me go to law school is to be able to recognize a crime when it is committed in unusual ways. This is why people like me are employed as assistant district attorneys, and that's why people like me are employed as assistant district attorneys who work on things called search warrant teams, who assist the police in working on search warrants to say, yes, that is probable cause for that crime because of that behavior, even though that crime was committed in an unusual way. Now, I am no longer an assistant district attorney, and I have not been an assistant district attorney since sometime in September of 2004, which was a long time ago. But I still have my education and my experience. Moira, you and Mom have stolen my car so that I cannot sell it in a campaign to deprive me of social contacts, in a campaign to deprive me of economic resources, money, and to deprive me of the freedom to move. My car has been messed with such that it is not mechanically sound. The cars I have access to, or the car I own, they are not mechanically sound, so I cannot move about easily. You have engaged in a criminal campaign to deprive me of all kinds of things, all of the resources that, by which I could hire an attorney to sue you and Mom in probate court and in civil court. So that, and the reason you have engaged in this criminal campaign, Moira, you and Mom, is so that I cannot obtain my inheritance. An inheritance I am very much owed under the circumstances, and an inheritance which makes absolute sense under the facts of Dad's life, my life, and Mom's life. And this theft of my automobile is, this larceny of my automobile by you and Mom is just one part of this criminal campaign. By the way, there is a name for this collection of crimes. It's called extortion. You and Mom and the Greek mob have committed this criminal campaign of extortion roughly over the last 10 to 15 years. You have done it in a very passive-aggressive way and in unusual ways, but it is extortion nonetheless. So I have come to the conclusion, or made the inference, you and Moira, I have made the following inference, Moira, that you, Mom, and the Greek mob, you commit crimes in ways that are extremely passive aggressive, mainly because you're cowards. And you think that you will escape a criminal liability for your crimes because you commit your crimes in passive aggressive ways and in indirect ways. But there's two problems with this way of committing crimes. A, by process of elimination and context and looking at the life of your victim for the victim being me, looking at the life of your victim for the last 26 years, it's clear that someone's doing something to this person. And this person is socially isolated. So there's really only two people who could be targeting this person, or two people in one group. See, you, Mom, and the Greek mob, there's a principle in psychology called propinquity. In social psychology, there's this principle called propinquity. It means people who are close to a person, right? People make friends with people who they are close to physically. It's called propinquity. So, applying the principle of propinquity to this matter, even though I have not directly witnessed the Greek mob committing most of their crimes, or you or Mom committing most of these crimes have been committed against my person. I'm destitute. My cats are dead. The cars don't work right. I can't get the Triumph back. I'm socially isolated. I have no idea what's going on with Dad's will, even though Dad's been dead for 20 months now. I have not personally witnessed anybody committing these crimes. The damage to the car, the poison set out for the cats, all the things that have gone wrong or gone missing around the property. But here's the thing. I'm socially isolated. And the only people I know are you and Mom. And the only neighbors who are around a lot of the Greek mob. So applying the principle of propinquity to this matter from social psychology, it is absolutely certain that you, Mom, and the Greek mob are the people committing these crimes against me. Unless, of course, some random psychopath from Sheboygan picked my name out of a phone book and started committing these crimes against me. And that is, let's just say, highly unlikely. There's a second principle we can apply to this matter to demonstrate that you, Mom, and the Greek mob are committing these crimes against me. It's a principle enunciated by a man named Mark Friend in the Watergate scandal. Follow the money. Follow the money. Or in this case, also follow who's benefiting from this situation. Mom benefited from free labor from me and Dad, who's now dead. Mom and Dad benefited from free labor from me for over 10 years. This saved their estate at least $50,000 a year, $50,000 to $75,000 a year for over 10 years. That's $500,000 to $750,000. Mom received my services as a driver, shopper, a person performing light nursing duties. I shopped, I cooked, I cleaned. I performed light nursing duties. I drove Mom to doctor's appointments. On 3 occasions, I saved Dad's life. Twice by making Mom and Dad call the EMS because Dad was having either a myocardial infarction or some sort of serious cardiac event. And one time, Dad had forgotten medication in Newton, and I drove it to Dartmouth. And it was medication that had to be taken constantly, or else it would cause a hemorrhagic stroke, and he would have died. The medication is called propranolol. Dad had forgotten it here. I did numerous other things for Mom and Dad over the course of 10 years. Saving someone's life 3 times. I don't know if you can put a price on that. Mom and Dad received a benefit, and I have not been paid for that benefit. There were promises made in return for that labor, and those promises have not been carried out. And of course, you can follow the money from Dad's estate and where it went. So if you follow the money and follow who benefited from the last 10 to 15 years of my life, it's absolutely clear who's committing these crimes against me. You and Mom and the Greek mob. And the larceny of the motor vehicle is one of the more clearly, one of the crimes that has been more clearly committed in this matter. So Moira, you got to return my goddamn car if you don't want to look, you and Mom don't want to look like a car thief. I need the car. I need the money. Now, here's the reason I believe, this is an inference, the reason I believe that you and Mom don't want to return the motor vehicle to me. I could sell it and use the $10,000 to $13,000 I get from it as a retainer for a trust and estates attorney who could sue you and rather easily get me, I don't know, $15 million. With which, of course, I could pay another attorney to look into the Greek mob in Greater Boston. And they don't want that. Because as I found out over the past year or so, the Greek mob is terrible at covering up some of the transactions they do to commit their crimes or scams or rackets that have to do with public records. I'll give you an example. There is a residence on Whittemore Road in Newton. I believe the number is 5052. I'll have to double check the address, but it's on Whittemore Road in Newton. And I'll double check the address and the name of the street. It's a duplex. It was owned by one Elias Dembelopoulos and maybe Dionysios Dembelopoulos, I don't remember. But it was owned by a Dembelopoulos. Then it was sold for $1 to someone named Schaefer, right? And an Alice Schaefer. And Alice Schaefer, who near as I can tell from obituaries, was a nice 90-year-old lady in a nursing home in Natick. There was a difference in the middle initial, but I think it was the same lady. There was a difference in the middle initial on the housing transaction records and the obituary from the old woman in Natick. But I think that was just a little bit of the name game that fraudsters play with, making oopsie little mistakes in the putting names down to try and confuse anybody who may be investigating them. It's called the name game in criminal court. The vernacular for this fraudster trick in criminal court, messing with identifications by making little mistakes in names to frustrate authorities investigating things. And if you're caught, you just say, oops, my finger slipped on the keyboard or something. Right. It's the difference between Alex K. Schaefer, Alice, I can't remember the first name. Anyways, the residence, let's get back to the residence at Whittemore Road. It was owned by a Dembelopoulos. It was then owned by a Schaefer, and I believe the name game has been played with the name on that residence, the name on that recordation of that deed, and then it was sold back to a Dembelopoulos. This is a tax scam, Moira. Elias Dembelopoulos lived at Whittemore Road for like 5 or 6 years, and this woman named Schaefer was kind enough, out of the kindness of her heart, to pay the taxes on a residence in Newton, which are very expensive, for a number of years for the Dembelopoulos family. And near as I can tell, the Dembelopoulos are not related to Ms. Schaefer, the nice little old lady in the nursing home, so far as I can tell. Here's the thing. The Dembelopoulos are not related by marriage or blood to anyone without a Greek last name, except for a woman with a Polish surname who is married to Elias Tembelpoulos's brother. Other than that, I couldn't find anyone they were related to who does not have a Greek last name. And Schaefer, of course, is a German.